Once again, welcome to the second edition of News Tonight. My name is Michael Lukomwa, joined by Elizabeth Nakakoni, our sign language interpreter. In our first story this evening, President Kaguta Museveni has called on African leaders to confront and dismantle the long-standing strategic bottlenecks that block the continent's socio-economic transformation. He was opening the 8th African Leadership Forum at Speak Resort Munyonyo. President Museveni said that Africa cannot achieve sustainable development unless it undergoes a deliberate process of transformation economically and ideologically.
African leaders have convened at Munyonyo in Kampala to evaluate the current status of the SDGs in Africa, with emphasis put on identifying key bottlenecks in Africa's development agenda.
By our statesmen, our former African presidents.
Key among the prominent African leaders were His Excellency Dr. Ernest Bai Koroma, former President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, and His Excellency Dr. Monsef Mazuki, the former President of the Republic of Tunisia. In a keynote address, President Museveni reminded the delegates that even before independence, Africa's first challenge was the absence of political power, which after gaining independence, many countries fell into chaos due to weak states and politics that lacked a historical mission.
This is the problem we had here. We had Idi Amin. Idi Amin, that is a soldier. A soldier of what? What is your mission? I'm just soldier. Soldier. Without mission. This was part of the crisis.
He said the weakness of African states today stems from identity-based politics rather than politics of interest and ideology.
If you say our politics are politics of tribes, of religion, of gender chauvinism, how will you build a capable state? This is the problem we have in some of the countries. Clan armies, sectarian armies. Countries have broken up because of identity.
The president also reflected on economic missteps, particularly the suppression of the private sector in post-independence Africa. He pointed to Uganda's own experience under Idi Amin when Indian entrepreneurs were expelled, setting back the economy. On Africa's continued export of raw materials, Museveni said this practice has left the continent donating wealth and jobs to the world.
Take textiles, cotton. Cotton has got like 6 job levels. You grow the cotton, that's some job. When you harvest the cotton, you gin it, you remove the seeds. That's another level of jobs, the ginneries. Now, much of the African cotton has been ending there. They export what they call lint cotton. Cotton without seeds, after removing the seeds. Then somebody else goes and does the spinning. Spinning is another level of jobs.
On poverty, Museveni noted that many Africans still remain outside the money economy. He emphasized that the National Resistance Movement, NRM, has focused on moving Ugandans from subsistence to commercial production through initiatives like Entandikwa, NADS, and Operation Wealth Creation. The former president of the United Republic of Tanzania, His Excellency Jakaya Mrisho Kikwete, called upon African leaders to take bold, practical steps that accelerate progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs.
Most of our countries still grapple with the challenges of abject poverty, inequality, youth unemployment, effects of climate change and conflict, just to mention a few.
His Excellency Kikwete expressed gratitude to Uganda for hosting this year's forum and praised President Yoweri Museveni for taking time out of his schedule to personally grace the event. He recounted the previous forums, noting their growing relevance in shaping continental discourse, noting that 2022 forum focused on food security and natural resource management, while the 2023 edition held in Accra, Ghana, explored regional integration and youth empowerment. His Excellency Kikwete stressed the importance of translating the forum's outcomes into concrete action. Among other Ugandan leaders who attended were Right Honorable Robina Nabbanja, the Prime Minister, Right Honorable Ruhakana Rugunda, the former Prime Minister, Honorable Amama Mbabazi, the former Prime Minister, Professor Gilbert Bukenya, the former Vice President.
Prime Minister Robina Nabbanja has assured the African leaders that Uganda is ready to take lead in ensuring that the 17 Sustainable Development Goals are achieved by 2030. Nabbanja was addressing a pre-event, a sideline of women for the 11th African Regional Forum on Sustainable Development at Speak Resort Munyonyo in Kampala.
Uganda is hosting the 11th African Regional Forum on Sustainable Development, which has attracted heads of state and former heads of state with over 2,000 delegates from across the African continent. Under the theme, Driving Job Creation and Economic Growth through Sustainable, Inclusive, Science and Evidence-Based Solutions for the 2030 Agenda and 2063, has proceeded with pre-events on the sidelines. Today, the Prime Minister of Uganda, Robina Nabbanja, addressed the women. Nabbanja assured the African leaders that Uganda is ready to take lead in ensuring that the 17th Sustainable Development Goals are achieved by 2030.
My government to lead by example and ensure that AU member states, and in particular the Republic of Uganda, take deliberate measures to accelerate the delivery of Sustainable Development Goals. Special attention will be put on the 5 SDGs. 1, SDG number 3. You know what I'm talking about. That is good health and well-being of our communities. SDG number 5. We shall continue to make sure that there is gender equality and empowerment of women and girls. She's our champion there. SDG number 8 on decent work and economic growth.
However, the Premier, who is also Kakumiro Woman Member of Parliament, raised concerns that many of the African countries are not on track in as far as attaining the Sustainable Development Goals.
We are here to evaluate the progress of our governments, the strides they have made on delivering the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. We equally note that some African countries are not yet on track to fully implement the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. She has already told you how far Uganda is, and this I want to commend our President for being a champion of gender equality.
Nabbanja highlighted Uganda's achievement in ensuring that the women in Uganda attain equal status with their counterparts, the men.
Cabinet is at 45%. The Vice President is a woman. The Prime Minister here speaking, the first female Prime Minister. If you have never seen the first female Prime Minister of Uganda, here she is. The Speaker of Parliament is a woman.
Currently, Uganda is the chair of the African Bureau on Sustainable Development, and this was attained because of Uganda's good strides in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals.
But as women leaders, when you are put in a position of leadership, you must make sure that you deliver. Make sure that you deliver so that other women are inspired. And that drives me every day.
The Prime Minister informed delegates how the parish development model is being used by Uganda to empower the Ugandan woman economically.
And 30% of that is for women. Women. 30% is for the youth. And among the youth, we have the girls.
The UPDF's Chief of Joint Staff, Major General Kabaka, has highlighted the transformation of the Uganda People's Defence Forces into a professional force with a structured organization and growing capacity to execute operations and respond to evolving security challenges. He was meeting a delegation from the Senior Command and Staff College in Kinanira in Burundi at the Defense Intelligence and Security Headquarters in Buya. Bakasumba underscored UPDF's operational capacity to undertake assigned tasks militarily.
The Uganda People's Defence Forces has developed its training capacity, starting from recruits to the National Defence College. Major General Bakasumba reflected on Uganda's regional contributions, highlighted the UPDF's pioneering role as the first African country to deploy troops to Somalia under the African Union mission in March 2007, followed by Burundi. He emphasized African-led solutions to contribute to African solutions for African problems.
Very good working relationship with the Burundi. Remember, we are the first two African countries to deploy in Somalia. For us, we deployed it was in March 2007. Then thereafter, Burundi followed us.
The leader of the delegation from the Senior Command and Staff College Chinanira of Burundi, Colonel Jonas Sabushimike, said that the tour is part of the academic program for course to enhance regional cooperation.
I want also to thank the Chief Defense Forces, Uganda People Defense Force, for having accepted to receive us and made this study tour to happen here in Uganda. In fact, we have selected the Republic of Uganda for its key role in fostering regional cooperation.
Carl Sabushimike is the chief instructor at the college. Representing the student group, Lieutenant Colonel Balam Ainomugisha said the insights have deepened understanding of Uganda's active role in foreign missions.
We have been privileged to receive presentation and briefs on the Republic of Uganda by various presenters. Without doubt, these presentations and briefs have greatly enhanced our understanding of revolution of Uganda People's Defense Force, Uganda People's Defense Forces structure, Uganda People's Defense Forces participation in foreign missions, especially in Somalia.
Members of the Legal Committee of Parliament have faulted Uganda Human Rights Commission for not prioritizing their function of complaint handling and investigations in their budget, which is their core mandate in the Constitution. According to their ministerial policy statement for financial year 2025-26, their budget allocations to the function of complaints investigations and legal services is 342 million shillings, while research, education and documentation is 770 million shillings.
Officials from Uganda Human Rights Commission have appeared before the Legal Committee of Parliament to present their ministerial policy statement for financial year 2025-2026. The statement indicates that government has allocated the Commission a total of 32.9 billion shillings, having increased it from 30.7 billion in financial year 2024-2025.
Salary allocation will remain the same at Uganda shillings 11.021 billion. Development expenditure has been increased from Uganda shillings 2.582 billion in financial year 24-25 to Uganda shillings 6.766 billion.
The major concern raised by the legislators was on the organization's mandate and resource prioritization.
Complaints, investigations and legal services is 342. Research and documentation is 770. This research and documentation, which is taking a lot of money, and the money is not being given to the core function.
There is no indicator on the percentage or number of persons released from detention. It's of the president. Now that is your results indicator, the outcome indicator you have put there. Procurement of 40 portraits of the president.
The money which went to do the core function is 0.523%. So, to me, you did nothing.
The chairperson conceded to this gap in their budget and promised to correct, while the secretary, Margaret Ejang, explained that they have mandatory requirement to provide for all fixed costs, which did not convince MPs.
Face the observation that the investigation of complaints and giving redress to victims of human rights violations should attract a bigger allocation.
So when we provide for the for the fixed costs for the establishment, we hardly have any money. The commission staff, chair and members are on contracts. So we have the wage, that's a fixed cost, been asking for additional funding. So in the current year, out of the 33 billion, we were given 10.4 billion shillings. It became a supplementary. Our request was actually additional funding.
I supplied an answer to the question relating to allocation of the supplementary on other non-core functions.
So is the current one, Madam Secretary, is not satisfying at all. And let's work towards having improved budgeting approach.
In her presentation, Wangadia said they do not have a backlog of cases. However, some MPs questioned the 968 cases under investigation level.
The cases that are still under investigation level, 968. And this is the core mandate of the commission. So I am wondering what percentage, what kind of performance is this? Do we say we are above average or we are below average?
Commitment to further look into the case of the missing persons. Because without a list, is it safe, Honorable Chair, to conclude that the missing persons are part of the 266, whose cases were closed at investigation level? And
one of their funding gaps in the ministerial policy statement is the special budget of 4.8 million shillings for activities of human rights in the 2026 general elections.
We will conduct election monitoring during the 2026 general elections. To enhance civic awareness and stakeholder engagement, we have allocated resources for community barazas across the country in all the 12 regional offices, radio.
In your plan, you have not provided anywhere an interface with the security agencies, whether the army, whether the police, and you have also indicated that you will be monitoring elections. And in your work plan,
we have 2 billion for the provision of human rights and civic education. We are in the election year. The money for civic education and interaction with these stakeholders who are responsible to protect the human rights must be core.
The committee has told officials to come up with lists of the 266 cases concluded and also come up with costs on activities like those under the research, education and documentation that is taking 770 million shillings of next financial year's budget. I'm Nafka Farid and Gloria Gwitabinji at Parliament.
Minister of State for Youth and Children Affairs, Balam Barugahara, has challenged the young people in higher institutions of learning to innovate solutions for climate change mitigation. He was speaking at Makerere University at a youth event aimed at awakening young people to innovate climate change mitigation and adaptation.
Innovations in climate change are important in mitigating the effects of climate change, adapt to its impacts, and build a more sustainable future. Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance has engaged with the youth from higher institutions of learning at Makerere University with the goal of awakening their consciousness about the need to innovate for climate change mitigation and adaptation.
Smallholder farmers, women, youth, people living with disabilities, pastoralists, fisherfolk, and those others, they are the ones who are affected, but we hardly get their voice into policy processes and into policy conversations, whether it is at the national level, continental level, or global level. So within the framework of locally led climate action, and as an imperative of climate justice, we are deliberate in trying to see how we can involve more young people, how we can involve more, bring on board in this conversation the people who can provide solutions, and those are the people who can speak for themselves, the people at the front line of climate crisis.
Balam Barugahara, the Minister of State for Youth and Children Affairs, officiated the event.
You see, when you just make a new road like that Northern Bypass, you spent billions of money on it. Then you allow someone to come and dump soil to block water movement. And then the road is washed away. You close it for another 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 months, that you are adding a surface. Due to carelessness, it is our responsibility to preserve our wetlands and to preserve the environment. Government alone will not do it for you. Let it even be communally in the community. People around Rubiji should start fighting.
The need for highly industrialized countries to appreciate the climate change burden sharing was stressed, and concern over the slow implementation of climate change adaptation technologies highlighted.
And so the question is, where is the origin of climate change? Climate change can be traced backwards from the days of industrial revolution, and how this carbon came on accumulating until now, when we see the adverse effects of climate change. And so when the conference on parties comes on, so the question is, the developed countries that emitted in the first case or in the first place, are they ready to pay the costs? Are they ready to provide what you can call climate finance to the developing countries like Uganda?
Climate change has become a major problem, contributing to extreme weather events impacting human health, food security and biodiversity. Adia Nakote, UBC.
The Director Counter-Terrorism Unit in the Uganda Police AIGP Waswa David Sengendo has pledged to support the presidential body for peace and mobilization for development as an avenue to engage communities against terrorism. This was during a launch of Hongera Sana offices, a presidential initiative for mobilization for peace and development. The offices are located in Ntinda, a Kampala suburb.
Engage in development activities to end poverty as a tool to put an end to the increasing terrorism acts in the country. For years, police fight against terrorism in the country has been facing challenges due to failure to uproot the point of origin.
There has been a gap that we have been fighting the act of terrorism, just as the definition goes, the acts of violence, but without properly addressing the root causes. What are those factors that have led our people to be recruited into the acts of violence and terrorism?
Hongera Sana community-based organization has partnered with police through an agriculture development initiative to empower people to find a livelihood.
It is our stadium that hosts all the players in the crime chain, from agitators to players, victims, reporters, law enforcers, investigators, etc.
Means you need to dialogue with people. So we started going to the communities, engaging the communities on issues, and especially the Muslim community, and unfortunately the Salaf community specifically.
AIGP Waswa David Sengendo pledged to support the body for peace and mobilization for development and engage the communities to fight terrorism.
Economically, to empower our people, you know, those in agriculture, those who have small startups, you know, so that we can together build peace and security through development, the development aspect. So this office of Hongera Sana is coming in to coordinate and be able to carry that forward, but also with us working together to educate and making sure that we explain to the people, but also getting feedback from our people.
The national coordinator Hongera Sana Alafa Muyomba says, through creating wealth schemes for youth, terrorism will be addressed.
Today we have launched our office officially, and we have also flagged off most of our developmental programs, particularly in the agriculture sector. We think that through these programs and activities, we shall empower people, hence preventing violent extremism.
The initiative has a task to mobilize citizens through development. Michael Bakablindi for UBC News.
Police have arrested 29 people over the gruesome murder of a police constable Chemonge Sulaiman attached to Bisheshe police station in Uganda district. Chemonge was killed by a mob at a funeral while offering service.
Chemonga Suleiman, a police officer attached to Busheshe police station in Uganda district, was deployed to provide security at the funeral of Kahangire Rezarius in Kambogo Cell, Busheshe division, Uganda district. Kahangire, who had been accused of attempted murder, died while on remand at Nyabuhiche government prison.
It is alleged that the concern of the mob was that prior to Kahingire's remand, police officer Chemonge Suleiman had participated in his arrest. You recall that the deceased Kahingire had evaded an arrest after committing an alleged attempted murder.
It is said that Chemonge tried to fight for his life by firing bullets, but was overpowered by the people who murdered him in the cold blood, and his body was dumped along the road. Police later recovered a SMG rifle with 16 rounds of ammunition from the scene.
Tried to fire some warning shots to deter the attacking mob, but he was overwhelmed and he lost his life in that situation. We managed to recover his firearm, which had 16 rounds of ammunition.
29 people have been arrested, while other suspects are on the run.
As Uganda Police Force, we condemn this violent act and assure the public that all those who are involved in this criminal act shall be brought to book. We also appeal to public to use civil approaches even when they feel challenged by any actor in the law and order sector.
Recently, police introduced a standard operating procedure of not deploying unaccompanied officers for duty with an idea of protecting each other, but by the time Chemonge was attacked, he was alone on duty. Abdul Nasir Lubwama for UBC.
kama nemo pocket tambula body street issues are my target. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. I'm in a plantation but on a global mission, internet ambition, full condition. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. Olo cash is gone, netaga yo kaloni, nigga mukafoni, money in the zone. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. We are good with MTN. We are what? Unstoppable.
With you and MTN together, our ambition is unstoppable.
We are what? Unstoppable.
Amazina ganje ninyetekwa Seruhanga John Bosco ninduga mu district ya Rukungiri njyo muhanguzi wa miliyoni 18 na Uganda National Rotary nzahangwire kurwo mu kuzana star 278 hash ngafuna message eriko njyo muhanguzi nashemererwa konka nabaza kugira ngo nedi y'abafere sente ziriyo zone bakaziteka ko nazihangwira.
Uganda National Lottery. Dream, play, win.
Participants must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. The Uganda National Lottery is operated by Ituba Uganda and regulated by the National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board.
Buza Commissioner. Enhancing tax education and bringing it closer to the taxpayers. Many Ugandans have questions about the taxes they pay to URA.
When we come at revenue, they tell us to clear Chitenge at 10,000. And when we are selling Chitenge, we sell it at 17. So we don't know whether we are working or not.
Understanding your tax obligations can help you grow your business and avoid unnecessary losses. Now, you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887 and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Buza Commissioner.
UBC News Tonight, welcome back from the break and thank you so much for keeping it with us. Ministry of Internal Affairs National NGO Bureau has opened a consultative review stakeholder meeting for Central Sub-Region on the proposed new regulations for the NGO sector. The first batch has started with Greater Mukono districts, Mukono, Kayunga and Buyikwe at Ryder Hotel in Seta.
2019, Ministry of Internal Affairs and the National NGO Bureau started a process to put in place new regulations for the NGO sector. In the process, Uganda was subdivided into 14 consultative regions, starting with Western sub-regions in the regional cities of Mbarara, Kabale and Fort Portal. A two-day consultative meeting for the Central Region was at Ryder Hotel Center in Mukono District.
The overall purpose here is to collect views from different stakeholders on the regulatory impact assessment that has been conducted, and we want to hear from them what they have got to say, because after we are done with this, it's going to help us review the entire regulatory impact, the entire regulatory framework.
One of the key things coming out of this workshop is the urgent need and demand for automation of the services of Ministry of Internal Affairs under the NGO Bureau. Because people travel all the way from Chisoro, Arua, Gulu, checking so numerous times on their applications for NGO work permits, renewal of their work permits, recommendation letters. And it's very, very tedious.
Reverend Dr. Bakalwa Mukasa, the Mukono District Chairman, and Kayunga Cow, Malik Mahaba, on behalf of the participating districts, highlighted some challenges facing the NGO sector in the districts.
For governments, our NGOs face a lot of challenges in terms of registration, communication and information flow, and even management and running of the NGOs. and at times we have a gap in between the local government and NGOs.
There are such people who masquerade, that they are NGOs when they have other ulterior motives. I want to recommend that we should have, as we make a review of the NGO policy, we should put in place a clear regulatory mechanism.
Some of the NGO sector representatives shared their views.
I see this as a very unique opportunity to the NGO sector players to be invited to own up the process, to participate in the process that is debating, is developing, is crafting policy documents and regulations that are going to govern the sector from now on.
I want to say that government needs to recognize the work that we do as NGOs. We are coming in partnership with government to execute services that probably government is not able to do.
Consultative meetings will conclude with Wakiso and Masaka sub-regions at Entebbe later this week. This story was compiled by Juko Collins for
Clogged drainage channels have been pointed out as one of the lead causes for rampant accidents, especially during the rainy seasons. It is on this background that the public has been urged to ensure proper management of domestic waste to avoid clogging of drainage channels. This is an appeal by Alfred Okema, the CEO, High Africa Uganda, coming in during preparations for the Road Safety Week that will run between the 12th and the 18th of May 2025.
Flooding in the city resulting into fatal accidents. Besides tackling other known causes for accidents, stakeholders plan this time round to also pay attention to waste management.
A lot of flooding in Kampala, and that flooding happened partly because of the block drainages. And these block drainages happen because we have irresponsible Ugandans who actually throw all kinds of waste into the drainage channels.
High Africa also seeks to advocate for the repainting of different road signs, especially zebra crossings, to ensure greater safety for vulnerable groups.
If there are any that are remaining, they should be painted. Number two, we need actually to let especially the more vulnerable members of our communities, like people with disability, like children, to actually get to know how to cross roads very well. Number three, responsible use of roads, like our borders. We need to show them that actually we need to use our roads well. Let's follow the road signs. Let's move in the right direction. Let's not go all over the place.
The Road Safety Week is scheduled to run from 12th to 18th May 2025 under the theme Together for Road Safety. Cayenne Faith, Regan Ahomuza for EBC.
Ministry of Public Service, Department of Research and Innovations has inaugurated a research management committee to conduct research focusing on government policies to improve service delivery. The Minister of State for Public Service, Mary Mugasa, points out that research conducted will guide the implementation of government policies.
Government is striving to improve the delivery of services in the public sector that is grappling with a number of challenges that hinder better service delivery. The Ministry of Public Service Department of Research and Innovations has inaugurated a research management committee to conduct research on government policies with the aim to improve service delivery in the public sector. The research committee is spearheaded by the Ministry of Public Service under the Civil Service College and chaired by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Public Service, Catherine Bitarakwate.
I take this honor to inaugurate the research committee, management committee of the Public Service of Uganda. You know, when you don't have good policies which are not well researched, sometimes you cannot implement them. That's why you hear that we had a policy, and they are redoing the policy because the implementation has failed. This time round, we want to congratulate ourselves and the government of Uganda for having such a robust group of researchers that will help us to implement our policies.
The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Public Service, Catherine Bitarakwate, is optimistic that research on public service sector will help to uncover problems and areas of improvement.
The problem of flooding. Let's suppose that that is flooding in the city, and we want to find out what the problem is and get solutions. Instead of making wide sweeping statements without empirical evidence, this kind of problem can be presented to the research committee alongside others, and then they'll choose what is a priority of how we go about finding the solution, and also digging into the actual root causes of the problem.
It is believed that research focused on public service delivery is crucial for identifying and addressing inefficiencies and enhance the quality of services provided to the citizens.
Minziro Health Center 2 in Minziro Parish, Chebe Sub-County, Kakuto Choteda District has hosted an HIV/AIDS awareness and prevention event. The initiative was part of the celebrations marking the 70th birthday of Kabaka Ronald Mwenda Mutebi II, hosted by community event focused on HIV and AIDS.
During the celebrations, youth were urged to protect themselves from HIV/AIDS by getting tested, abstaining from risky behaviors, and staying faithful to one partner.
Today we have had Kabaka's birthday run. So our main role for this is to see that men are the key points to combat this HIV/AIDS infection by 2030. When you look at this facility where we have gathered at the end of the run, is Minziro Health Center 2 at the level of Health Center 2, whereby we have a target of around 3,469 clients, or the target population we are supposed to serve. So we offer different services whereby we do general treatment of all conditions. We do immunization, we do antenatal and deliveries.
It is worth noting that Kakuto remains one of the most affected areas in Uganda when it comes to HIV/AIDS, with the greatest number of deaths recorded from the disease.
Bavubuka tulina obunafu bwenjagala tujjemu tetwagala kwekebeza ekyo kimu. Nsaba avuka bonna gye muli twekebeze akakasirimu. Bwatusobodde kwekebeza obupiira bugali mpitawo tuba nabo ku ddwaliro wano.
The event was part of the planned activities aimed at commemorate the 70th birthday of Kabaka Ronald Mwenda Mutebi II, which took place in various parts of the country.
Today, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate our King, His Majesty, Kabaka Sawasajja Ronald Mwenda Mutebi, for his birthday. We wish you a very good, happy birthday, and we thank God for your life. We thank God for your wisdom, and I want also to thank our government, especially the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who restored our kingdomship and restored the system which is likely mostly wanted by the people of Uganda.
Kakuto constituency MP candidate Kaka Ismail Rubega Uthman organized a mini marathon and sensitization activities focused on HIV/AIDS prevention among the youth.
Mwami Kaka kyatukoledde ku poliisi kubanga mazeeko no kulumu ku poliisi wano. Naye atuwadde sola ya Afripano sanze ekizigiza era omukisa atambula nagwo. Tusiimye nnyo honorable gy'otukoledde tuseewo era nasanze omwami ono wali n'aŋŋamba honorable ajja atakuleetedde package neesiima naŋŋamba lekandiyinde package andabe era yantuuseeko ne bintuukako era mbisayiniize weebale nnyo nasimye nnyo.
Jamilu Sekajja, compiled report for UBC News.
Kampala Central Member of Parliament, Mohammed Nsereko, has urged law students to engage in politics if they are to effectively implement the rule of law. He warned that neglecting politics would create a vacuum, allowing individuals with questionable motives to draft laws with loopholes. This statement was made at the handover ceremony where Islamic University in Uganda students transitioned leadership to manage the law school for the upcoming academic year.
The IUIU law students recently held a handover ceremony during which the outgoing leadership officially transferred authority to their successors who will oversee the operations of the law school in the forthcoming academic year. It was during this event that students acknowledged the several violations of the rule of law in the country, citing institutional corruption and numerous challenges.
Uganda has the perfect sets of laws. Our parliament has done a very good job to legislate these laws. But what we need to know is that parliament gives us, the people, the laws to enforce them through institutions and through different subsidiary legislations. So it is us, the people, that are failing these laws.
1990s, realized that ladies were a bit inferior. But currently the status quo is seen that the woman is the vice president, the woman is the prime minister, the woman is the speaker of parliament. Realized that now it has empowered the girl child.
The Kampala Central Member of Parliament and Chief Guest urged law students to remain vigilant and engage in politics as a means of strengthening the rule of law in the country.
Allow me extraordinarily to thank the leadership of IUIU, led by the Guild President and the leadership and his leadership or his cabinet or governing council, and those that are showing us the way to transition power through rule of law society from one leg to another.
Nsereko described corruption as the greatest obstacle to development, urging students to resist it.
The young intellectuals who are vowed to be members of the Revolutionary Front and part of the rule of law society and club, I would like to tell them that the challenges in leadership entail the following: one, being a servant, but also challenges from those that you serve. Those that you serve are always wanting. So you must be innovative, you must be creative.
Kawanguzi Paul, Semambo Chosen, UBC.
We thank you so much for watching. Let's take another short break. On return, we have business news, sports news, and more.
Come on, in my pocket, tambula body street, issues are my target. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. I'm in a plantation, but on a global mission, internet ambition, full condition. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. Oro cash is gone, netaga yo kaloni, niga mukafoni, money in the zone. We are what? Unstoppable. We are what? Unstoppable. We are good.
With you and MTN together, our ambition is unstoppable.
We are what? Unstoppable!
According to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics Census Report of 2016, in Uganda, 12.4% of the population, about 4.5 million, live with a disability. Limited access to ICT and assistive technologies increases digital disparities, prompting UCOSAF's aim to promote digital inclusiveness for persons with disabilities. The ICT for People with Disability program aims to improve the accessibility of education and technology for persons with disabilities and promote their full and effective participation in society. UKUSA is implementing this program through the creation and maintenance of an online observatory for persons with disabilities intended to link persons with disabilities with service providers and different programs that empower them, and provision of adaptive tools that enhance their quality of life through ICTs and digital skilling.
We thank you so much for watching and welcome back from the break. There was chaos after KCCA officers and vendors at the Busega roadside market clashed following the recent announcement of mandatory registration of all the vendors. The KCCA Executive Director Sharifa Buzechi gave the directive.
On April 4, 2025, Kampala Capital City Authority announced an impending vendor registration exercise at Busega Market starting on April 7th. The Executive Director Sharifa Buzechi said the exercise aligns with the Markets Act 2023, urging vendors to support it for improved market order and harmony.
We have managed to come as we discuss matters about this market.
While some vendors support the initiative, others oppose it, fearing exploitation for personal gain.
They want to bring in new vendors through the registration.
We asked President Museveni to build for us a market and advised us to look for land. We secured land through the chairman, but now people do not want him, yet he's the one supposed to show us stalls.
This impasse led to violent confrontations between KCCA officers who were enforcing the directive and the targeted traders. The confrontations between vendors and the enforcement team led to suspension of the registration process until further notice. Bantu Machawe Semambo, Ivan Juko, UBC News.
Minister of State for Energy, Okasai Opolot, has urged local communities in Kumi and Palisa district to embrace cleaner sources of energy. He was launching solar power systems and clean cooking initiatives in the two districts.
You actually now, is it this one?
A transformative project in Onyeno Kumi district has been launched to power homes using innovative solutions. These indiscriminative developments are expected to significantly reduce reliance on traditional energy sources, improving the quality of life for residents.
A house which cannot be wired, they must also enjoy what you are enjoying, but at the cheapest cost possible. Because you are using it for cooking, our objective is to move people away from using charcoal and firewood. You now reach 81, the tariff comes down. So they are targeting different people. For you, you can use it for cooking. And you need 70 kilowatt hours for you to cook for a month. And if you hit that 150 the extra, the tariff jumps up.
In Palisa district, a generous donation of gas cookers was made to support less privileged families. It is part of a broader effort to promote cleaner, more efficient cooking methods. To further enhance the well-being of local residents, a new street lighting project was commissioned in Onyeno. The street lights will significantly improve safety, security, and nightlife in the area. In Kumi, Okasai Opolot, the Minister of State for Energy, emphasized the adoption of energy-efficient methods to protect the environment and improve household energy efficiency.
Now, instead of running to the firewood, they are actually collecting what was waste when they shelled the granites. And they are now collecting all that and turning it into fuel wood, saving the environment, saving the health of the women, the health of the children. We always move with the women into the kitchen. This smart energy is going to help us, especially me in my kingdom, where the whole kingdom is now marked as a disaster area because of deforestation, massive destruction of environment, because we want to use fuel wood and the timber.
Through these progressive initiatives, the government is dedicated to make energy more affordable, sustainable and accessible to all Ugandans. Kayen Faith, Juma Nsamba for UBC.
The 2024-25 Uganda Cup quarter-final draws have been held today at Kansai Plascon head offices industrial area. In the knockout matches, Uganda Cup Police will host big league side Kabaka at the Kavomba Recreational Stadium. Vipers entertain Sports Club Villa at St. Mary's Stadium Chitende in the mother of all battles. Holders Kitara FC will face off with Bull at Butema Stadium in Hoima, while Fufa Big League side Karukarunji will tussle it out with KCCA at the Chamate Stadium in Tungamo.
Police FC finalists. Coach of Kabaka FC. That is in Mbare. We are from Mbare. We have managed to qualify for the quarterfinals of the Stanbic Bank. We are going to play against Police. The boys from
it is a joy and a privilege. One, to see that the teams are making it through to this round, but most especially to see teams from the big league holding their ground and going through the many stages and many rounds to get to this point.
In a world where youth are increasingly dedicating themselves to sports, the need for a balanced approach to both financial planning and athletic success are critical. During an e-engagement with UCAM University, Professor Carmen Daniela from Spain cautioned Isbat University students that young athletes should not spend lavishly.
It was a wake-up call to all young athletes at Isbat University. Their journey does not end when they leave the field. To truly succeed, they must master both their sport and their financial future. Dr. Pradeep Kumar of Isbat University emphasized the importance of sacrifice and smart financial decisions as essential pillars for achieving long-term success in both sports and life.
One of the very poor family, very poor, who were looking food that how I will survive tomorrow. But he decided to do something. He got inspiration. Set your goal, make your inspiration, and just follow. You should not be having the vision of your left or right, just one target.
The collaboration between Isbat University and UCAM University of Spain is helping to nurture talent, integrate sports with academics, and provide the necessary support for future champions.
They are really important for saving money, at least, because if you invest in health, you will have to spend less money in health, okay? That it's a circle. So I think that is one of the most important things to consider by the high institutions.
This kind of arrangement is very important for Isbat students, because in the country, always it is that their strong bodies have strong minds. When you are fit from your body, then automatically you can do better with your mind.
The head coach emphasized the importance of such trainings to change the behavior character in day-to-day life.
The financial discipline doesn't just come automatically, but we have not instilled. So we've been focusing more on the physical and the tactical part of it, but we've been missing out one of the aspects of the mental. So most of when you try to benchmark with Europe, they're having psychologists. They have those lessons, they have those lectures. It's a training session as well.
The focus on multi-sport training, including football, basketball, swimming and athletics, ensures that students have a comprehensive athletic education, equipping them for success in any field. Irene Faith Natongo, Andrew Sebira, UBC News.
And Uganda's under-19 boys cricket team, the Baby Cricket Cranes, were relegated to Division 2 after their poor performance at the just concluded ICC World Cup qualifiers that were held in Nigeria. The qualifiers, won by neighbors Tanzania, were a tough for Uganda, who lost 3 of her 5 games, finishing second from the bottom and hence being relegated together with Sierra Leone. Uganda's only consolation wins came against Sierra Leone and hosts Nigeria.
I'm seeing something you are not seeing, and that's
over. And he gets that and force the initiative.
Good they have been in the first innings.
You can imagine. That's in the game.
Cut up.
And that brings us to the end of all we had for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching wherever you are. My name is Michael Jordan Lukomwa with Elizabeth Nakakoni and the whole team. Wish you the best of the night. Bye-bye.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
In a nation hungry for truth, a world where every story matters, there exists a beacon of trust and reliability. For decades, they've been our voice and